Good evening, everyone. We are interrupting your regularly scheduled programming for a tornado warning that has just been issued for eastern portions of Fisher County and western portions of Jones County. This does not include the community of Anson. Roby, you are included in this tornado warning. It's a radar indicated tornado warning for folks in places like Roby, McCully, down towards Noodle and Escoda. You're all included in this tornado warning. And here's why. You're seeing the powerful rotation on radar. Green is winds going towards the radar. Red is winds going away from the radar. It's slightly disorganized at this point. We are seeing an increase in organization, which may mean an increasing tornado threat for McCully, Noodle, Roby, as it's moving from eastern portions of Fisher County into western portions of Jones County. So I really need you to be in that tornado safe place. The lowest floor, putting as many walls between you and the outside as possible. It's for eastern Fisher County and southwestern portions of Jones County until 9 p.m. So it's just before 8:30 p.m. and it's moving southeast at 25 miles an hour. It's radar indicated. It also has the potential to produce up to tennis ball sized hail. So it's a very powerful thunderstorm for places like Roby, places like McCully, places like Noodle. We have a cluster of showers and thunderstorms moving through the big country right now. Zooming out, giving you a full view of what's going on. We have this severe thunderstorm warning for southern, Scurry, and northern portions of Mitchell County. And look at this big line of showers and thunderstorms moving across the big country. Since we have a cluster of showers and thunderstorms called a mesoscale convective system, that's mostly going to be a straight line damaging wind threat. That said, straight line damaging winds can still do a lot of damage. We saw a report earlier in Knox County of winds up to 100 miles an hour, which is equivalent to what you would see in a tornado. So very powerful winds moving across the big country into portions of North Texas. With these clusters of storms, you can also get brief spin-ups within the main line of thunderstorms. And I've just received notification that we are live on all of our different streaming platforms. So if you live in the eastern portions of Fisher, southwestern portions of Jones County, you can watch us on the Fox West Texas mobile app. You can watch us on our YouTube channel, Facebook page, and our streaming app, Fox West Texas Plus. For those of you who are just now joining us, we are doing live severe weather coverage. It is just before 8:30 p.m. on this Sunday evening for a tornado warning in eastern portions of Fisher and western portions of Jones County. This thunderstorm, it's produced some really large hail, potentially over softball size, gusty straight line winds, and it looks like it may be spinning up to produce a tornado. You see that area that's kind of bulging ahead of the main cluster of showers and storms. That's where you'd see the strongest winds associated with the thunderstorm, as well as the greatest potential for rotation. If you live in places like Roby, if you live in places south of Nienda and southwest of Nienda, this does not include you in Hamlin and portions of Jones County. This doesn't include Anson, it doesn't include Truby, it doesn't include Nienda. It does include places to the southwest. Here's Sylvester, here's Highway 180 in Fisher County. Here's McCully, here is Roby. All of these locations included in that red flashing polygon, that's a tornado warning until 9 p.m. this evening. So everyone in that red shaded polygon, I need you to be taking your tornado safety precautions. Lowest floor away from windows. And back in Haskell County, we received reports of a 73 mile an hour wind gust. In Rotan, we received a report of an 81 mile an hour gust. So that cluster of storms has moved out of the community of Rotan. And you can see just a little bit of maybe some rain, still included in a severe thunderstorm warning. But the storm capable of producing some very gusty winds, that's in Rotan, where we had that 80 mile an hour wind gust. So even if it's not producing a tornado in eastern Fisher County and southwestern Jones County, it's still capable of the large hail and the very damaging straight line wind gusts. So not saying this to frighten anyone. I know it's probably a frightening probably a frightening situation from Roby down towards Longworth. Towards McCauley, you're having a really large hail, the gusty straight line winds, and the tornado warning. Just take your safety precautions. It'll be all right. The tornado warning is in effect for the next half hour. It's just after 8:30 p.m. And we'll be watching it very closely here at Fox West Texas, providing you the latest weather data and all the different weather impacts. Radar is estimating very large hail to the east of Roby. That's where it looks like we're seeing the largest hail right now in the big country. Radar estimating hail sizes potentially up to golf ball in kind of central portions of Fisher County. It looks like it may be underestimating. Earlier we saw reports of very large hail in excess of 4 inches in diameter. So if you live in the big country and you're not currently under a storm, if it's safe for you to go outside, I would recommend maybe moving that car under some sort of sheltering. If you have an awning or a garage, that would definitely be ideal, help protect you from this dangerous tornado-warned thunderstorm. We're also seeing various severe thunderstorm where we're seeing one other severe thunderstorm warning. It's for portions of Haskell, Throckmorton towards Shackelford County. That severe thunderstorm warning is also in effect until 9 p.m. That storm is warned for up to golf ball sized hail and 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We also just had a severe thunderstorm warning issued for portions of Young County, for portions of Breckenridge County. That's as this cluster of showers and thunderstorms moves eastward towards North Texas, towards the Dallas television market. You see those storms formed in the Texas Panhandle. They've merged into a cluster of showers and thunderstorms. The good news is once this cluster of storms moves through your area, you shouldn't see any more severe weather for the rest of the evening. You see back to the northwest, seeing some flash flood warnings, but no hail, no wind, no tornado threat on the back side of this line of storms. We'll have a cold front push through, and it should not be as impactful for the rest of the night. The imminent threat right now is for eastern portions of Fisher County, for southwestern portions of Jones County. Here's Merkel, here's Abilene, here's Hawley, here's Anson, here's Hamlin. None of those areas are included in the red shaded polygon. The imminent tornado threats for Roby, for Longworth. Most recent look at the winds inside the thunderstorm, showing a little bit less organization with the potential tornado threat. And here's your radar where you're seeing that white dot right on the border of Callahan and Shackelford counties. So we're getting a pretty good scan of the low levels of the thunderstorm, showing not the tightest organization. So that may mean the tornado threat is maybe a little bit lower than it was just a couple of minutes ago. It's not low enough though to exit that safe room, because the winds inside the thunderstorms in and of themselves are definitely a big risk associated with the thunderstorm. Zooming in, it kind of looks like the strongest winds are right on the north side of the community of Noodle. So folks who live in Noodle really want you to be taking those tornado safety precautions. And we just had a radar scan showing potentially 90-mile-an-hour winds. That's what this thunderstorm is warned for. So a 90-mile-an-hour wind gust is comparable to what you would see in a weak tornado, and that will still cause some damage to property. And it looks like we have just had a severe thunderstorm warning issued that does include the city of Abilene. Latest information from the National Weather Service. It's until 9:30 p.m., so Abilene, you're included in that severe thunderstorm warning until 9:30. And National Weather Service has it warned for ping pong ball sized hail and 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So for those of you who are just now joining us, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued that includes the city of Abilene. Potential for some gusts up to 80 miles an hour. Good news, you have a little bit of time to prepare. For those of you watching from Abilene, from Anson to the west of Baird, for western portions of Shackelford and Callahan County, If you can move inside a steady structure, maybe move your car as large hail and some very gusty winds are moving into your location. There's not a tornado warning for the city of Abilene. I want to emphasize that. No tornado warning at this time for the city of Abilene. There is a warning for ping pong ball sized hail and 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And those will definitely do some damage, especially when they're together, when they're in conjunction. So folks in Abilene really want you to be prepared for this, want you staying weather aware. The main cluster of storms is still back to your west in the city of Abilene, but folks watching from Abilene, I would recommend going ahead and preparing. Hopefully this cluster of storms will weaken a little bit as it moves towards Abilene. At its current trajectory though, it's definitely a powerful storm, definitely something you want to take seriously as it's moving through the big country. No imminent tornado threat for you in Abilene though, so hopefully that will offer a little bit of peace of mind. Definitely still a straight line wind threat. Main tornado threats from Roby towards Noodle. Green is winds going towards the radar. Red is winds going away from the radar. So you kind of have that broad area of circulations. This is one view of the winds inside the thunderstorm. I want to give you a second view of what the winds inside the thunderstorm may look like. And in this secondary view, this is what meteorologists refer to as the base velocity product. Just a second ago, we were looking at storm relative velocity. So this gives a better idea of how exactly the thunderstorm is moving. And you can see those very bright greens, indicative of very, very strong winds flowing out of the thunderstorm. They're moving towards the radar, out of the thunderstorm in portions of Fisher and Jones County. And right here, we're seeing those brightest green colors kind of right on the border of Fisher and Jones County. I think that's where we're going to be seeing the strongest winds. And yeah, some of those wind gusts upwards of 60 to 70 miles an hour. So earlier we had that radar scan of 80 to 90 miles an hour. So maybe wind speeds have come down just a little bit, but it's still definitely a powerful line of thunderstorms moving through the big country. You step outside in the city of Abilene, and step outside anywhere in the big country, you can really feel that the fact that it feels like we're in spring and not the beginning of summer. You have those high dew points in the 60s and 70s across the area. That moisture leads to instability, which is thunderstorm fuel. And that's why you're seeing all these severe thunderstorms, a robust, powerful line of storms moving through the big country. And that's why we're seeing these spin-up tornadoes within the line of storms. And the fact that they briefly spin up and then briefly spin back down doesn't mean that they're weak. They can definitely still cause some damage along with that straight line wind threat. And I think, frankly, it doesn't really matter whether or not the damage comes from a tornado or it comes from straight line gusty winds. At the end of the day, damage is damage. It appears a new severe thunderstorm warning is being issued. I know it's probably a little bit confusing what exactly is going on, so I do want to just take a second and break down what exactly we're seeing on radar right now. You see that one red polygon? That's for eastern Fisher, southwestern Jones County. That's the tornado warning. That's why we're doing long form severe weather coverage. And then you see several severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Sweetwater, Abilene, Anson, Albany, Throckmorton, Haskell, towards Graham, towards Breckenridge, all included in those yellow shaded polygons. That's for this line of showers and thunderstorms. Right on the leading edge of that line, that's where we can see the very gusty straight line winds. Large hail also a concern. We saw a warning earlier for up to softball-sized hail and gusty straight line winds. We've seen reports upwards of 100 miles an hour. And those are non-tornadic winds. Those are straight line winds coming from the thunderstorm. That's typically the main threat when you see these sorts of lines of showers and thunderstorms moving through the area. And we're not saying this to scare anyone, but we do want you to prepare for those potential weather impacts as it is moving through a highly populated part of the big country. And we will continue to monitor the situation very closely. Latest on that tornado warning for portions of Fisher and Jones County. It's moving southeast at 25 miles an hour, warned for a potential tornado and tennis ball sized hail. So earlier we saw reports of softball sized hail. So tennis ball is a little bit smaller than softball sized hail. It's still powerful nonetheless, still indicative of a healthy thunderstorm with strong updrafts. That's what you need in order to get large hail, really strong updrafts that'll loft the rain high up in the atmosphere. It'll freeze, fall back down, be lofted up again, refreeze. That'll repeat several times over. And in order to get quarter-sized hail, you need really fast wind gusts. To get softball-sized hail, you need very, very powerful wind gusts. So just illustrating that situation. Latest tornado warning for eastern portions of Fisher County, southwestern portions of Jones County, Roby. You are no longer included in the tornado warning. Noodle, east of Longworth, you are still included in a tornado warning until 9 p.m. for ping pong ball sized hail. So the most recent update from the National Weather Service has decreased the hail sizes. You can see on the northwest side of Noodle, you have the pink shaded area. That's where you have your hail core. That's where you have the ping pong ball sized hail. So the hail size has decreased. It's still severe. Ping pong ball sized hail is 1.5 inches in diameter. Hail is considered severe when it's larger than a quarter in diameter. So it's still some powerful hail. And the tornado warning has been trimmed down, meaning the Weather Service is monitoring a smaller area for that potential tornado. Right where the green and red are touching each other, that's where you have that potential tornadic circulation. Green is winds moving towards the radar at Dyess Air Force Base. Red is winds moving away from the radar. So right where you have that circulation, that's the area of concern. It looks like the strongest winds aren't associated with that circulation. You can see the brightest greens are north of Noodle as opposed to west of Noodle. And those winds maybe not looking as powerful as they were earlier. It looks like maybe it's on a somewhat of a weakening trend. So hopefully that's encouraging news for folks in eastern Fisher and western, southwestern portions of Jones County. I still do want you in that tornado safe place for at least the next 17 minutes. It's currently 8:43 p.m. on this Sunday evening. For those of you who are just now joining us, we have had a tornado warning that's been trimmed to far eastern portions of Fisher County and southwestern portions of Jones County. It does include the community of Escoda towards Noodle, towards Sylvester. Roby is no longer included in the tornado warning. If we pan the radar back towards the west, it looks like the strongest part of the thunderstorm is moving away from Roby. It's moving away from Rotan. So far, I haven't received any reports of damage. This is a relatively sparsely populated part of our viewing area. So the fact that normally you would find comfort in not seeing any reports of damage, but the fact that it's at night makes me think that we're probably not going to be seeing damage reports for a while. If you do have a way to safely send us those reports, we certainly would greatly appreciate it. You can send us those online on social media, and you can also text our station's phone number. That's 325-655-6006. It helps us understand what exactly the atmosphere is doing beyond what we can just see on radar, because radar just tells part of the story. It doesn't tell the whole story with what's going on in the atmosphere. Since the radar is looking up in the clouds of the thunderstorm, it's not necessarily looking at what's going on the ground. We've just had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued for Fisher and Jones County, and also the severe thunderstorm warning for Throckmorton, Haskell, and Shackelford County, the potential of 80-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It looks like the strongest winds are southwest of you in the community of Throckmorton, east of you in Haskell, right kind of on the border of Haskell and Throckmorton counties. South of Highway 380, That's the potential for some very gusty winds. Doesn't look like a tornadic signature. It is definitely some very powerful winds. If we sample just to the east of the border, yeah, showing those wind gusts upwards of 70 miles an hour. The storm is warned for 80 miles an hour. So if you live from Throckmorton down towards Woodson, down towards Shackelford and Stevens County, I'd recommend just waiting inside until this line of showers and thunderstorms passes you. Not expecting any impacts for the not expecting any impacts for the Concho Valley. We are seeing the tornado warning again, eastern Fisher, southwestern portions of Jones County. Storms warned for ping pong ball sized hail, and that's what you're seeing right now just on the north side of the community of Noodle. And you also notice this bowing segment. We call it a bow because it looks like a bow and arrow, where you have that almost reverse C shape that stretches from Hamlin down towards Anson. That is likely where you're seeing powerful straight line winds. So folks in Anson, you are likely receiving the brunt of those winds at this point. And they're not associated with the tornado. So Anson, you're not included in a tornado warning. You are seeing the really powerful winds, and notice the green and red next to each other, and there's a area of gray between the green and red right where my hand is. That tells me that it's not rotational winds, but it is powerful straight line winds from Truby towards Anson, towards Funston. Here's Highway 277. So even though it's not tornadic for you in Anson, it's definitely some very powerful winds. So please take it seriously. Please make sure that you're seeking shelter. I want to zoom in to give folks an idea of where exactly we're seeing the rotation. It's 8:47 on this Sunday evening. The tornado warning's in effect for the next 13 minutes until 9 p.m. Noodle, eastern Fisher, southwestern Jones County. Need you to be in that tornado safe place until 9 p.m. If you haven't already sought out shelter and you're wondering where exactly is that tornado safe place, you want to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Lowest floor away from windows is always a good idea. That's typically the safest place you can find in a home. You also, if you live in an apartment complex, which I know there's not a lot of apartments in this part of the Fox West Texas viewing area, you could maybe find shelter with neighbors on the lowest floor. If you're on the second story of your house, you'll want to seek shelter in that first story of your house. Again, lowest floor away from windows. Thank you for that, Brandon. We have just received reports of softball-sized hail in Rotan. And thank you for that report, Brandon. We have just received a report into the Fox West Texas newsroom of a report earlier in the evening of softball-sized hail in Rotan. I think the hail sizes have come down a bit since it's produced that hail. But with these thunderstorms, they have a tendency to cycle up and cycle down in intensity. So even though at this particular moment the hail sizes may have decreased from that softball size, they definitely could increase again. They could increase those hail sizes. So I still definitely want you staying weather aware. And honestly, even if you're not included in a tornado warning, seeking shelter until the main threat passes you may not be a bad idea. It's currently 8:49. For those of you who may just now be joining us, we are live on air for a tornado warning. This is for eastern Fisher and southwestern Jones County. Hopefully a little bit of encouragement for folks from Noodle towards Fisher County. The circulation inside the thunderstorm is looking less organized. What does that mean? It means we may be transitioning from a tornado threat to more of a straight line wind threat. With clusters of storms, sometimes you see these areas of circulation increase and you'll have a brief tornado on the ground that can definitely do some damage. That's why we're tracking them here on air. But once they're on the ground, they usually will go back up into the cloud fairly quickly, and that's what we may be seeing across Fisher and Jones County. And even if we didn't see a tornado, even if we're not seeing a tornado, we're definitely seeing the very gusty straight line winds southwest of Anson. You see those bright green colors between Noodle and Anson. That's likely where we're seeing the strongest winds inside the thunderstorm right now. And those are moving east, eventually towards Albany, eventually towards Baird. And looking at reflectivity, this shows the rain across the area. From like Haskell towards Throckmorton, this area is going to continue to go southeast. I do eventually think this kind of part of the thunderstorms is going to make its way towards Abilene. So folks in Abilene, I would just recommend staying inside until this line of showers and thunderstorms moves through. Brandon, can we briefly pull up our Abilene Sky Tracker? I want to see if we're able to see anything. All right, so this is a live look on our Abilene Sky Tracker, and we're seeing some mammatus clouds right now on Sky Tracker. You'll notice it looks like there are almost little divots in the cloud. When you see those little divots in the cloud, that's indicative of instability. And what you have happening is the thunderstorms with the intense updrafts, and it almost sends waves out ahead of it. And that's why you see the little divots in the cloud cover. Brandon, if we could go back to radar, please. Thank you for that. Still have the tornado warning in effect to the northwest of the city of Abilene. We're talking eastern Fisher and western Jones County. This is the part of the thunderstorm that moves through Stonewall County, and also reported to have had produced softball-sized hail near Rotan. Currently not seeing hail that big in the city of Rotan. Yes, we also have a highway camera in Abilene with a lot of lightning, and you can really see it. Brandon, do you know which part of Abilene this camera is from? Okay, we're currently doing a little bit of investigation on that Skycam, but Fisher, Jones County, I do still want you in that tornado safe place. Here for the next 8 minutes, it's currently 8:52 p.m. We'll see if the National Weather Service chooses to extend that tornado warning. I wouldn't be shocked if they allowed it to expire, but I do still want you in that tornado warning as we continue to monitor it here on radar. And we have just received word that that traffic camera we were looking at just a second ago is on the north side of Abilene. So here's Abilene. It was Highway I-20, so thank you for that. Here's a Highway I-20 right now in Abilene, and that was looking off towards the northwest. Lots and lots of lightning. Again, no tornado warning for Abilene. Definitely the potential for some very gusty winds. National Weather Service has updated the severe thunderstorm warning for Shackelford and Jones County. That has the potential to produce wind gusts up to 90 miles an hour. So even though it's not a tornado warning for Shackelford or for Haskell County, it still is producing very, very gusty winds. So folks in Shackelford, Haskell, Throckmorton County, see those very bright greens on radar. That's indicative of the gusty straight line winds, potentially over 90 miles an hour from Throckmorton southwestward. So if you live in that area, I really want you to be treat this honestly like you would a tornado warning. Just given how fast those gusty winds are, those can definitely lead to some damage. So you see the gray area on radar. That means it's not rotating. That means it's gusty straight line winds. So please take that seriously from Haskell, Shackelford counties down towards Throckmorton. You'll also notice we're seeing what's called a bounded weak echo region, and allow me to pan the radar a little bit off to the west. To the south of Sylvester, see that green shaded area surrounded by all the yellow and red. That means right in the middle of the thunderstorm, you have less rain. That's the updraft in the thunderstorm. That's where you're seeing the intense upward motion. And it's not with every thunderstorm you see a bounded weak echo region. It's indicative of the very powerful winds, and the updraft strength of a thunderstorm is kind of a proxy for how powerful the storm itself is. So definitely still a healthy storm, even if it's not producing a tornado at this point. Most recent scan of the winds inside the thunderstorm, this is definitely some good news, and that it definitely shows very disorganized rotation. but you are seeing the very powerful winds on the northeast side of Anson. Notice where you're having those bright red colors from Radium towards Highway 277 towards Funston. It looks like right just to the north of the junction of Highway 83 towards Highway 277, that's where you are seeing the strongest winds. Up towards about 60 to 70 miles an hour. Radar is indicating 57 miles an hour. I think it's underestimating it. I think we could be seeing 70 to 80 plus mile an hour wind gusts on the north side of the community of Anson and Fisher County. So, or excuse me, in northern central portions of Jones County. So you definitely want to be taking this very seriously, even though it's not a tornado warning for Anson, for Radium, or for Funston. It is a powerful storm nonetheless. And that's been the big story we've been tracking here in West Texas. The tornado threat overall looks like it's on the low side, and obviously we've seen these spin-ups on radar, one in Knox County, one on Stonewall County, and now in eastern Fisher, southwestern portions of Jones County. We're seeing widespread reports of very gusty straight line winds though. People on social media talking about potentially a derecho. That's a long-lived windstorm moving through the area as a cluster of showers and storms. Ultimately, that's the National Weather Service judgment to say whether or not this is a derecho. Regardless, though, it is producing lots and lots of damaging wind. And I think that's what we're seeing kind of to the north of Abilene. Abilene is still included in the severe thunderstorm warning. I would say I'm probably most concerned for places like impact on the north side of Abilene, and maybe a little bit less concerned to the south of I-20. Places like Caps, places like Potosi, they are still included in the severe thunderstorm warning, so we'll have to closely monitor whether or not it kind of moves towards the south or not. And you can just see multiple severe thunderstorm warnings. We have a flash flood warning for portions of Knox County. If you see where I'm pointing to that green polygon, that's for lots of rain that has fallen across Knox County. And you see all the widespread reds and yellows on radar. That's showing even more heavy rain falling across the area. So expect to see more flash flooding across the area. Flash flooding is definitely a big concern. We have a lot of moisture in the atmosphere. And when you have that rain-making moisture and you have a strong storm system moving across the area, that's a recipe for heavy rainfall. That can lead to flash flooding. And we know in West Texas, it doesn't take a lot of rain to lead to flash flooding. So you definitely want to take those flash flood warnings very seriously. And that'll be, even a bigger concern past the tornado warnings and past the severe thunderstorm warnings whenever they end. So looking at the winds inside the thunderstorm for eastern Fisher and southwestern portions of Jones County, this tornado warning is in effect for the next minute. So for the next minute from Noodle towards Sylvester, south of McCauley, I really need you to be in that tornado safe place. We'll see if the National Weather Service chooses to extend that warning or not. And we have just had a flash flood warning. It's called a considerable flash flood warning. And I've just received photos of more clouds over Abilene. Thank you for that, Alicia. Just saw that text message. But a flash flood warning has just been issued for portions of Fisher County. And that's, again, from all that rain I was just talking about a second ago. Abilene, again, I want to stress for my folks watching from the Key City, there is not a tornado warning for the city of Abilene. It looks like the strongest winds may be just to the north of you in the city of Abilene. I just still want you to seek, at the very least, stay inside, as the potential for very gusty winds is definitely there in the Key City. Abilene's included in a severe thunderstorm warning with the potential of... Okay, we have just had the tornado warning canceled. I think we're going to end it here on air in just a second. I do want to push folks to our different streaming platforms. We'll be continuing coverage on Fox West Texas Plus, on our YouTube channel, on our streaming channel. You can download that on your Roku app and the Fox West Texas mobile app. But I think we're going to end it on air. I do just want to say, Abilene folks have received their WIA, their wireless emergency alerts in the Key City for the potential of wind gusts up to 80 miles an hour. Other parts of the big country up towards Haskell, up towards Shackelford County, warned for wind gusts up to 90 miles an hour. So a dangerous complex of storms is producing a lot of rain, lots of gusty straight line winds, large hail. It's moving southeastward. We'll have continuing coverage on all of our digital platforms. I do just want to end by showing a severe thunderstorm watch. That means conditions are favorable for severe thunderstorms until 11 p.m. It's been labeled a PDS, or particularly dangerous situation, by the National Weather Service. We'll continue to monitor it, but join us on our streaming app for the latest. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on all of our different streaming and digital platforms. I want to come on here to give you a quick update with what's going on across the big country. We've had 3 different tornado-warned thunderstorms across the area, and thankfully no tornado warnings imminent across our viewing area. That's certainly some good news. We do have several severe thunderstorm warnings capable of producing 80 to even 90 mile-an-hour wind gusts. Severe thunderstorm warning that does include the city of Abilene. That's in effect until 9:30 p.m. That thunderstorm's capable of producing some 80 mile-an-hour wind gusts. So folks in Abilene towards Anson, towards Stamford, I'd recommend just waiting inside until the thunderstorm passes. It's also producing heavy rainfall and potential for large hail as well. You see that flash flood warning in effect for Fisher County. That is because of all the rain we've seen fall across Fisher County. You see that flashing yellow polygon, that's for Haskell, Shackelford, and Throckmorton County. National Weather Service has that warned for winds up to 90 miles an hour. So the wind's not looking tornadic. You'll notice towards Throckmorton County, right where my hand is, you're seeing the bright green. That is where you have potentially the 90 plus mile an hour winds. Radar is sampling near Woodson. Just on the southwest side of Woodson, those winds up to 81 miles an hour. So even though it's not tornadic, it is definitely very powerful winds northeast of the city of Abilene. So I definitely want you folks to take cover until this line of thunderstorms moves through your area. It might be wise to treat this like a tornado warning, even though there is no tornado warning in effect for portions of anywhere in the Fox West Texas viewing area. It looks like hail sizes have come down for Jones County. We're still seeing, it looks like the largest hail between Albany and Throckmorton in southern portions of Throckmorton County. Radar estimates those hail sizes could be up to golf ball size. And let me check the latest from the National Weather Service. The latest from the National Weather Service, lots of different reports of wind gusts across the area, as a matter of fact. And we still have that severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Fisher and Jones County for some quarter-sized hail and 60 mile-an-hour wind gusts, kind of on the backside of the leading edge, but the threat I really think is decreasing for Fisher and Jones County. I do briefly want to zoom out and show folks what all of the different storm reports we've received across West Texas. So these are storm reports over the past 24 hours. And I want to point out, we don't have any tornado reports, no reports of funnel clouds. We had large hail reports towards Colorado City, towards Roby. We had both, I stand corrected, we had a tornado report to the west of the community of Aspermont. It was a funnel cloud report near the community of Claremont. So that's what triggered that tornado warning earlier for portions of Stonewall County while we were covering that tornado warning in Knox County. So it's been a very busy evening. There was a report of a funnel cloud near Claremont. We'll see if there are any reports of damage that the National Weather Service can go out and investigate. So yes, you can see lots of reports of tree damage in Knox County, lots of straight line wind reports. And that's kind of been the big story across the area, and that's why we have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for Abilene and points northward until 11 p.m. tonight. This has been labeled a PDS, or a particularly dangerous situation severe thunderstorm watch. In my time observing the weather, being a meteorologist, this is the first PDS severe thunderstorm watch I have seen. I have seen PDS tornado watches for particularly high-end tornado environments, even more so than a typical tornado environment. But the reason they issued this PDS severe thunderstorm watch is for that potential of wind gusts upwards of 80 to 90 miles an hour. And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing unfold across the big country. This is a look at what Timecast was predicting for 9 p.m. And you can see, did a pretty good job of showing those storms kind of in the heart of the big country at 9 p.m. By 10 p.m., those will be moving into portions of North Texas, and the severe thunderstorm watch is ending at 11 p.m. That's when it'll be kind of entering the Dallas Metroplex. By midnight, it looks to be right in the heart of the Dallas area. And I think this version of Timecast is overdoing the intensity behind the main line. Maybe some quarter-sized hail, but definitely a lot less of a severe threat than we're seeing across the area now. Maybe some lingering rain Monday morning, but it really looks like the threat's going to be decreasing. Most of your Monday going to be dry. Monday evening might see a little bit of redevelopment to our west. That might send a line of showers and thunderstorms through our area late Monday night into Tuesday morning, and the potential for more storms Tuesday evening. I want to emphasize, though, the high-end environment we're seeing tonight is not what I'm expecting for your Monday and Tuesday. Several severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Sweetwater, Abilene, towards Albany, towards Throckmorton. On the leading edge of that line of showers and storms, that's where I'm expecting the most impactful weather. So I would just recommend staying inside until the severe thunderstorm passes through your location. So that's the update I wanted to give you on the severe weather situation across the area. Thank you very much for joining. And for now, I think we'll end this little streaming update and we'll provide more updates as necessary online and on social media.